Tonight, the government to launch a review of safety at regional airports in the wake of the Sydney terror raids. And Broken Hill Police, part of a crime crackdown across regional communities.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening. The federal government will review security at regional airports after unions revealed that some, including Whyalla and Port Lincoln, lack basic security measures. Whyalla's mayor has welcomed the assessment, saying passenger safety is paramount for country travellers, many of whom are headed to Adelaide.
In the wake of the foiled terror plot in Sydney, attention is turned to safety measures at regional airports. The Transport Workers Union has revealed passengers at Whyalla and Port Lincoln don't undergo any screening prior to boarding. State Secretary Ian Smith says the findings are alarming.
It's taken an event like that for issues like we are discussing today to be identified and correctly dealt with.
Federal Transport Minister Darren Chester has today ordered a review of security, saying the department will take action if flaws are found. The union has welcomed the move, saying a terror plot could start from a regional terminal if they transit through to a connecting flight.
It could start from regional airports, so we need to increase security for sure.
Whyalla's Mayor Lynn Brewer is also supporting the review, saying regional areas cannot be complacent.
One of the issues about country airports is often the staff know the people anyway, but anything that could be improved and assisted by the federal government would be welcomed.
In the 16 years since 9/11, little is changed in boarding procedures at Whyalla and Port Lincoln. Mr Smith says he'd like to see regional passengers treated with the same level of care as their city counterparts.
We want to see the security getting very close to what we have in Adelaide, what we have in the main airports. Realistically, it should be that they're secure sites.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A New South Wales Greens MP has lashed out at the state government over a plan to allow them to legalise illegal floodworks around the Darling River region. Jeremy Buckingham has labelled the National Party's act to gain the legalising power as criminal.
Back in June, State Water Minister Niall Blair gazetted the floodplain management plan for the Barwon-Darling Valley floodplain. The plan contains a new section which gives the Minister the power to approve floodworks that have been built illegally between 1994 and 2017, even if they do not comply with the normal requirements. Mr Buckingham says communities like Broken Hill are not the state government's main concern.
The National Party have again put the interests of big irrigators and big political donors to their party in front of the Darling River and the communities that depend upon it.
The plan was put into place at the end of June and now gives Mr Blair the authorisation to legalise any illegal floodplain works carried out before the plan's creation.
If the work was illegal, those people should have the book thrown at them. They should be prosecuted, not getting green-lighted by a minister.
Again, Mr Blair wouldn't speak to Southern Cross News, but a spokeswoman from his office said the Water Minister has introduced a change to the plan to create a more thorough and transparent assessment of unapproved works. Mr Buckingham says he stands with Broken Hill City Council and their call for a royal commission into the recent water theft allegations, and will have the Water Minister facing serious questions when Parliament resumes next week.
I'll again be asking the Water Minister to explain why he has done this. Who are the people that have donated and who are the people that have put in applications to have their illegal works retrospectively validated and legalised? It's absolutely shonky, and I'll be getting right up the Minister's ribs.
Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
Firefighters from Port Augusta's MFS have had their annual regional assessments and were tested on just how good they are in real-life emergencies. This year's exercise was a mock chemical spill.
Training that saves lives. Firefighters from Port Augusta's MFS were put through their paces at their annual assessment last night. And the scene was set. A man had spilled a dangerous chemical.
The exercise tonight has just taken place. It was regarding a hazardous materials response, where a occupant has spilled a dangerous chemical and called upon the fire services to give assistance and clean it up.
With the man back to safety, crews now spend their time gearing up and setting up decontamination zones before establishing just what the contaminant is.
They pre-plan it for each station, and they do the same thing at every station that we have retained staff at.
Some coming to watch their hard-working parents.
I hope he does a good job tonight practising, and has a good night.
The assessment nights include a station audit and there's awards to be won among regional stations, with the Port Lincoln MFS coming in first last year.
Having previously won this inspections, so very proud and very honoured to be the officer.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Natural Resources Air Peninsula is working to stop the spread of buffel grass across the region. Officers say the weed not only competes with crops and natural plants for food and water, but as fuel in the summer bushfire season.
It looks harmless. However, buffel grass is a pest, and the Natural Resources Board wants to eliminate it. Work has begun across the EP to get it under control and prevent it contaminating the region.
Natural Resources is working together with landholders and councils to control buffel along highways and across the Eyre Peninsula through a program of mapping, treatment and follow-up.
The summer-growing grass is found along highways as cars transport its seedling. The whole Eyre Peninsula is being declared a control site, with treatment zones spreading across the area. Once established, the weed competes with other plants for nutrients.
Quickly dominates to form a monoculture. Once buffel grass is established, it's difficult and costly to control.
The plant structure also makes it a dangerous fuel for summer bushfires.
It's highly combustible, so carries an increased risk for intense bushfires.
Ms Murray says anyone who spots the plant should get in contact with the NRM.
Contacting Natural Resources if you see buffel along the roadsides or if you find it on your property. Natural Resources provides information and assistance to property owners to help control buffel.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news. Broken Hill Police, part of a crime crackdown across regional communities. We'll find out why next. Welcome back. Brand SA is bringing its regional showcase awards to Whyalla in October, with locals having a chance to help select the winners. Stories that celebrate the best of regional South Australia have been collected and published on the Inside South Australia website. The 5 finalists have been selected based on the popularity of their story, with the public now able to vote online. The winner will be announced at the Westlands Hotel on October the 6th. Brand SA says the awards help showcase the great work that regional people and businesses are doing to make SA a great place to live.
Sometimes it's just really hard to get that information, those stories out to a broader audience. The people in their own little community know what's going on, but often the broader South Australia doesn't.
A new report from the RAA shows that drivers who are on drugs are the biggest concern for South Australian motorists, while speeding, tailgating and unlicensed drivers were also a concern. Those surveyed listed drugs as their biggest worry.
Just this week, a man crashed his car into a Port Pirie playground while allegedly high on methamphetamines. And a new RAA report showing drug drivers as our biggest concern comes as no surprise.
Certainly the concern about drugs and having alcohol in the system was the principal concern. And what the data is showing us, of course, is that in nearly 40% of all the fatal crashes that have occurred over the last 5 years, there's been a detection of a combination of either drugs or alcohol, in some cases both, in those drives.
The warning is simple. If you spot erratic driving, steer clear.
The main thing is to stay well clear of them. Don't get too close because of their very nature, if they are driving erratically, they can take what would appear to be irrational vehicle movements, which could endanger yourself and other road users as well.
The next recommendation is to report them to police.
We'd suggest if you can take the details and report them to the police as soon as possible so that they can intervene and hopefully stop them before they cause any damage to themselves or other road users.
The RAA says State Parliament is reviewing drug driving legislation and hopes they consider tougher new penalties.
As a means to discourage drivers from continuing to drive with drugs in their system, we think every avenue should be explored to ensure that this is discouraged as much as possible.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
People travelling to the Royal Adelaide Show from around the regions next month should be prepared to face tighter security than in previous years. Security bag checks and personal screening will occur before patrons enter the Adelaide Showgrounds as a precautionary measure. The beefed-up security will slow the entry points at gates, and management have asked showgoers just to be patient during this time. Police will also have a larger presence to ensure everyone attending the show has a safe and enjoyable experience. Broken Hill and surrounding towns could soon see roaming police squads patrolling the communities. The New South Wales Deputy Police Commissioner says the regional enforcement squads would be used to fight crime waves in country towns.
Visiting the Silver City and chatting with local police, the state's top regional cop is focused on fighting crime in rural and remote areas.
Not so much about saying, well, more police is always better. It's saying, how can we do our job better? How can we provide people with technologies and resources? How can we better target crime and criminals?
The regional enforcement squads would be deployed to towns experiencing a spike in crime on short notice.
Those offences that really cut into the quick of good people stealing cars and break-enter and steals. But really what we need to do is to come to communities, to sit down with them, to find out what is hurting them, what's making them concerned.
Deputy Commissioner Warboy is in charge of regional policing and was in town this week meeting with the local force. Other emergency services were also in town this week for the Barrier Highway Emergency Management Committee meeting.
This committee looks at providing emergency services cross-border on the barrier. From Broken Hill and surrounds and into South Australia.
The meeting is all about New South Wales and South Australian emergency services working effectively together in times of emergency. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Port Lincoln's Beer Garden Brewery has tasted success at the Adelaide Beer and Cider Awards last weekend. The brewers were thrilled to receive the recognition, taking home 8 medals amongst the best breweries in the state.
There's nothing like a drop of success, especially when it's amongst your peers. Eyre Peninsula's own Beer Garden Brewing took their ales to Adelaide in hopes of getting a taste amid the state's best craft beers.
Thought going into it, if we won just one, we'd be really excited, but to come away with 8's been brilliant.
The brewers managed silver awards at both Adelaide's Beer and Cider and Industry Awards, but not everyone was convinced.
People actually didn't really believe that we were from the Eyre Peninsula, so a few customers we had to convince, so I think we've managed to do that.
The Beer Garden's Captain Porter receiving the most recognition, stacking up against some high-calibre entrants. The husband and wife Joy, now armed with more inspiration to push their unique flavour across the region.
To win, this suite of awards is fantastic and can be a bit of a reassurance to those people who haven't tried us yet that it is good beer.
Opened in December, the Beer Garden has received high praise from the Port Lincoln public, and the brewers have big plans scheduled for the warmer months.
Every time people come in over summer, there'll be a new type of beer on tap from our little brew house.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, Pete Murray wows crowds stopping off in Port Lincoln on his national tour. The details ahead. Welcome back. Preparations for Port Augusta's largest festival are underway for the annual Wharf Fest on the east side foreshore. Tomorrow's event set to host rides, sideshows and fireworks, and organisers say they're expecting up to 8,000 people. With a possible shower forecast for tomorrow, however, organisers say showgoers need to rug up.
I've been watching the forecast for about 2 weeks and we hope it holds off, but that's the... we don't know about, I suppose, when it comes to outdoor events, but we would hope so, that everyone just rugs up and keep the little tackers warm and come out for a great day.
Well, musician Pete Murray stopped off in Port Lincoln overnight as part of his national tour. Close to 500 people packed the Nautilus Centre to hear one of Australia's most renowned artists.
It might have been a Thursday night, but Port Lincoln was buzzing in anticipation to see one of Australia's most popular artists.
He actually sings our wedding song, so pretty special for us. Good to have him in Port Lincoln.
Get people up off their chairs.
Waving like you just
110%.
don't care.
The town turned out as Pete Murray hit centre stage, and while it's a new performance, it's not his first time in the region.
Love the place. Actually went out diving to see if I could see any sharks.
Pete's shark adventure, one of many reasons driving him back to the city, but it's the town's reaction he's most thrilled about.
Everyone's been saying it's the best show they've ever seen of mine, so maybe the best show in the world they've ever seen either. I'm not sure, but definitely mine, that's the best one they've seen.
Pete is touring the country, promoting his new album, Camacho, giving his audience a taste of 2 generations.
That's the good thing about this one, is people hearing the new fresh sound, but they're still getting the old favourites as well.
And while Pete is happy playing new music to fans, his other passion lies in opening small bars and restaurants in seaside communities, and he might be eyeing somewhere familiar.
Definitely might see if I can get another one happening again.
Pete's concert in Port Lincoln is one of 33 on his national tour, and while he's no stranger to the region, you never know, one day he might just be a local.
I'll have to check that one out. Maybe I'll go and have a drink with a few of the locals and just have a chat to them about it.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
All right, well, let's check in now with our experts for this week's Friday Footy Tips.
Hello and welcome to round 13 of SGL Football. We start this round with Central taking on West at Port Augusta's Central Oval on Saturday. West have won just one of their last 6 matches and will be desperate to return to the winner's circle. Central have been playing a lot of juniors this year, with some of these kids impressing. I'm tipping Central. In Piri on Saturday, it's Solly and the Lions in the match of the round. The Lions have improved after a slow start of the season and will be keen to test themselves against the top side. Solly's have won their last 8 matches and will be looking forward to the challenge. I'm tipping Solly in a close one. On Sunday in Piri, Port meet South. Port have struggled with their scoring this season, putting their backline under tremendous pressure. South, on the other hand, are one of the league's highest scoring teams and will test Port's backs again. I'm tipping South.
Just 3 rounds to go before we play finals, and first up on Saturday at Bennett Oval, it's Central Whyalla versus Rapina. Roos did themselves a huge favour by defeating the more fancied North Whyalla last week. They come up against the Central's team who struggled to kick goals last weekend, but they'll get a couple of good players back, and I think Centrals will get a win on Saturday. The other game on Saturday at Memorial Oval, it's North Whyalla versus Roona Bay. Almost last roll of the dice for the Bays if they want to play finals. They simply must win, but I think the Magpies will be too good on their home ground. And finally on Sunday, it's West Whyalla versus South Whyalla. South technically, still mathematically a chance to play finals. 3 games left, they're 2 games out. The trouble is that they're playing top team West this weekend, and West should win easily.
Welcome to Port Lincoln Footy Tips. We kick off this round at Centenary Oval with Lincoln South taking on Waybacks. Lincoln South need to continue to win if they want to play finals football, but Waybacks are in some red-hot form. I'm tipping Waybacks to win this one by 30 to 40 points. In the next game, we've got Mallee Park heading to Poole Oval to take on Boston's. This is a classic top versus bottom. Mallee Park should win this one and win this one by a big margin. In the last game, we got Tasman's heading up to Wongaree to take on Marble Range. Tasman's got to beat one of the top 3 teams in the last few games if they want to keep their final chances alive. I can't see it happening this weekend. Marble Range had a loss last week and then it'll come back firing. I'm tipping Marble Range to win this one by 4 goals.
Round 16 of Broken Hill Football, and the match of the day is South and Central at Alma Oval. A week ago, Central sacked their coach. We're hearing all this talk. Well, you know what? It's time for them to walk the walk. They're playing a team that's only lost 1 game for the year. Can they take it up to South? If they're fair dinkum, let's find out. I'm tipping South to win by 10 points. At Jubilee Oval, North play West. West have had a season from hell. Only won the 1 match. However, their coach, Phil Bell, is pouring game time into the kids. Will they beat North? Nah. For mine, North will win by 50 points. But over the hill, Central, it's time to walk the walk.
And of course, we'll check the results on Monday. We'll stay with us after the break, a look at your weekend weather. Welcome back to the weather now, and first tonight's weather photo is snapped by Tam Schwert out at Waroona Island. If you have a weather photo to share, make sure you email it in to us, especially if it's a creative one like this. Port Augusta saw some showers again today, 17 the top. Whyalla also 17, wet and windy. Wet and windy 14 for Port Lincoln, 16 in Port Pirie today, Broken Hill 15 degrees. On the national satellite image, cloud continues to move across the state, still generating plenty of wet weather. Out on the waters, the winds tomorrow around 25 knots in westerly, seas to 3 metres to the southwest. Sunrise at 7:10. So wet again as we roll into the weekend tomorrow. Port Augusta showers at a top of 18 degrees, 17 for Whyalla and 16 for Port Pirie and Port Lincoln. Broken Hill fine on 15. And then into Sunday, the wet weather will linger. 15 the top in Port Lincoln with 14 for Cleve, 15 degrees for Woodner. The showers starting to disperse into next week, however. Whyalla with a wet 17 for Sunday, then a fine 18 for Monday. The same in Port Augusta. Kadina 15 to wrap up the weekend. Port Pirie looking at showers and 15 for Sunday and 16 for Monday. Cold and wet and windy for Clare, just 11 degrees on Sunday, and a windy 15 to finish off the weekend in Broken Hill. Sounds like a great weekend to just stay inside. If you've got a fire, get it burning, I reckon. That is the local news for this Friday and for the week as well. Don't forget, as always, you can stay up to date with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you back here on Monday night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield from the team here at Southern Cross News. Have a great evening and a good weekend as well. Good night.